why are we so eager to pin artists up against each other in hip hop? One, but two, does doing so help or hurt how art is not only created, but also the expectations from the fans?
I think Terry said this as when we were talking about the battle, and I hear him say it every once in a while when we talk about how hip hop is competitive, right? So sometimes I think that spills out into the consumer just from a standpoint of, it's kind of like athletes. Jordan and LeBron, it's Bird and whoever you want, Kevin Durant for the best, second best small forward, or however you want to do it. I think just by nature, that's a part of it. As it relates to, I guess, what comes from the conversation, I just think music is subjective. I try not to. I used to go down rabbit holes with conversations and do paragraphs and all that, but I'm too old for that now. If you like it, that's cool. Like, I'm not mad at you. You grown. Like, I'm not about to try to force a grown man to like something that I'm like. I'm too old for that. And we do that a lot. But Lone, that's a very good question. I don't know if I can honestly answer it from the ramification standpoint of what comes from
competition.
It is built on that.
Hip hop was built on the competitive nature of competition, and like LL Cool J said, nobody can rap quite like I can. I mean, he started his rhyme with that. It's always been a big bravado about who's the best. Now, you have artists that don't care or even if seen in that same aspect, so to speak, but the ones that make it to the top or climbing a mountain to try to be at the top are always aiming at somebody else's spot. And I don't think it's vile or it's disrespectful. It's just like, in a lot of cases, it's keeping their skills sharpened to be like, I have to prove why I'm the best rapper, even though my subject matter isn't about me just being the best rapper, but it has to follow suit with what I'm claiming. That's what I think it is. I don't think it's bad for the sport, but I mean, that's just what it's built on.
Because music is it's so subjective.
It is, though.
I mean, like, is it? I feel like maybe I'm wrong here, and I'm not. I don't want to argue the point that it's built on that, because that's not what I want to focus on here. Right? This is a nuanced conversation. Is it solely built on that, though?
No, it's not solely built on that.
And is it solely built on that to the point to where, like,
that's kind of the reason why I said that they pick at it, but they still have to create the moment to make them even be seen in that light without saying that I'm better than such and such. Although I said it on this particular song, but I'm not going to say it on everything.
Because think about it, Long. You can see an interview now I just saw Kool Moe Dee with Willie D. I saw an interview with Kane or Rakim. They still talk about being nice. It just comes out like through casual conversation.
For sure.
They still talk about how they want it to be nice.
I'm not arguing this point, though, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, this is not a point that I'm arguing. I'm arguing more from the artistic element level of it, right? And even when we talk about other genres, granted, we're talking about hip hop and rhyming as a sport, right? We're talking about that specifically. Yeah. Not hip hop as a sport, but like the art of rhyming better than somebody, right? Mm-hmm. Somewhere involved in this whole thing here too is just the artistic element of wanting to create really cool art. And I feel like even though that there are many artists that do treat that rhyming aspect as a sport, I don't know what I'm trying to get at here, but I feel like there's part of it that it's when it's competition. Mm-hmm. To me, it's different when I'm trying to like out rap somebody versus I'm just trying to be nice
or just make dope music, make dope art.
Yeah,
I think there is I think there are a lot of artists, like at one point when it was, hip hop was out in the park. Yes, you're trying to out rap that man next to you.
Yeah.
Everybody's coming for Cold Crush. You know what I'm saying? Then, everybody's coming for Busy Bee when you're talking about a solo aspect. But then when it got to a point where it was less than about that than it was, I'm trying to create a definitive body of work. And that is more important to me. I'm not thinking about the next man when I am in the studio writing rhymes and telling the producer to take this out and that out because I want to create something. Maybe you're not thinking about, this is going to be legendary, but I'm thinking about doing the best I can, and this is solely about what's coming from my heart and my soul. I'm not thinking about what somebody is doing in another studio. as far as my artistic expression is concerned. I just don't. I mean, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I don't think that's what Nas was doing when he created Illmatic. Maybe he was thinking about Biggie a little bit when it came to the second album, because there was little jabs here and there, and that's where the competitiveness comes in. But when you think about where a lot of the most classic records were made, they had to be made thinking, I don't give up about anybody else right now. This is what I'm doing because this is what I feel. This is my heart and my soul I'm pouring into, whatever recording apparatus that I'm using right now, because I have something to say and I want the world to hear it and I want them to talk about it. Maybe they're not thinking about how I want them to talk about it in 20 years, but I want them to talk about it now because this is important to what's going on right now. And this is I'm laying my life on the line right now.
Yeah,
and that's not about competition. That is about, once again, you trying to create the definitive work.
Yeah, that's kind of goes to the point that I was making about how once they get to a certain level in their artistry, they're gunning for that number one position. So there's going to be something on there that's talking down to someone else that's on that level. But at the same time, they're still creating themselves and have to prove why I'm the best without just pointing out that person. They have to give you a body of work in order to prove that, essentially. That's pretty much what I was saying as far as the artist itself. But I mean, I think what the problem with it is some people see it as a bad thing. The only thing I see being a bad thing in hip hop is how people think when you become a certain age, you're supposed to just be done with it. If you still got the skills, you should keep doing it.
I agree.
I don't see it as a bad thing. You don't see sports as a bad thing because, I mean, it's competition. They're out there to either score a touchdown or run the football down your face and hurt somebody, essentially. That's more violent than somebody getting on the mic and saying, I'm the best out here and proving it. Now, we've had instances where it went left and other things happened, but, I mean, that's the nature of the game of hip-hop was built on competition. To say that I'm better.
Think about Reasonable Doubt, Jay-Z's first record. Go back and listen to that album. He talking cash on that whole album about how nice he is and what they've built from Rockefeller. He talks about experiences. He talks about everything. He said it was his life building up to that point was the first album. But he talking a lot of cash on Reasonable Doubt.
Which is why I think it's so hard, for certain artists, most artists, to... if you come out of the gate with a Reasonable Doubt, if you come out of the gate with an Illmatic, once again, here we are comparing artists, but, it is what it is. I'm making an argument.
Right.
You say, okay, you've lived all this up until, say, just because I like round numbers, 20 years old, and you record your album. And then someone from the record company is like, great, now let's do that again in a year. It took me 20 years to create have the experiences that made me create this piece of art. And you want me to do it again in a year.
Right.
But I mean, that's probably another conversation, and that's maybe where sometimes, okay, I had my experiences to draw from for this first project. Now I have to draw on a level of competition for this next one.
But listen, think about what Lone said when he's talking about the art. Go listen, like the flip side to Reasonable Doubt. This is my personal opinion. Go listen to Outkast's first album. I just hear two dudes that's nice from the South.
That's exactly what.
And we just trying to get out here to let everybody know what we got going on in the South. I didn't hear anything other than that, and we just make dope ass music.
That's the beauty of hip hop, though, because like you can say competition is one of the things that is part of hip hop, but you have other artists that their sole focus is on artistic expression, right? That's what that's their pocket, that's their lane. Notice how nobody in those particular lanes aim at anybody because it's all about creating their sound, their space, and moving on. Like you ain't never heard nobody really go at Outkast.
That's a good point.
What's the name?
Nobody goes at Black Thought.
Nobody go. You know what I'm saying?
No.
These are different type of artists.
Yeah.
That their goal is to just create a feeling, a vibe, so to speak, and keep that pushing and show how good I am in that aspect.
Yeah.
Like that we put 3 Stacks in the conversation of being the greatest all the time. Nobody's ever tried him.
True.
From a lyric point of view. You know what I'm saying? But everybody knows he can rap his ass off.
I think I think generally speaking, that's kind of like that interesting nuance there around defining what competition is in hip hop is the thing that I always have kind of a hard time with, because a lot of times it's generalized in the sense of to make it seem like everything's like battle intense and that's like what everything is. And I'm like, yeah, not really. Like, I feel like, yes, it's braggadocious. It's like, yes, I'm dope and I'm good. But to me, that's not competition to me. Like, to me, that's just like, even when I go back to my days of an MC, like, I don't look at stuff like, sure, I think like I'm better than you, but I'm not like going to come out here and be like, yo, I'm better at this particular person for this particular reason and all this stuff. I'm just nice and I'm going to tell you why I'm nice.
Would it be fair to say, I think you answered my question I'm about to ask. Would it be fair to say that through your lyrics as an MC, the subtleties can say that?
Yes.
That's what I mean.
I feel like there's more power in the subtleties personally, but you know, not everybody wants, like, in general, I always looked at hip hop and music making and art and in general as a positive thing. And I feel like if you're intentionally attacking somebody or trying to claim some sort of spot or something, it's counterintuitive to like what I wanted to, what I always wanted to build. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I still want to be nice and I'm going to say that I'm nice in the way that I say that I'm going to say it. But at the same time, like, I don't know, like, I'm not trying to erase the fact that, yes, it was built on certain levels of competition and that aspect, but I feel like there's more nuance there.
I mean, I feel that too, but I also came from a generation that played the dozens or joned on each other.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So when I think about that, I could talk hella shit about you and we go into the park to hoop after that.
For sure.
Yeah. And this could go on every day at school. We talk shit about each other. Yeah. But we're still cool. It ain't no problems. I think that's one of the things that seeing from hip hop, them kicking it together. Well, look at your shoes, they dusty, blah. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
I would say the natural evolution of that, in my opinion, is to create a body of artwork. Because like when you start off rhyming early days and you start doing stuff, yes, you're rapping, you're freestyling, you're doing that type of thing. You're just trying to be nice. But then the more you evolve as an artist and an MC, you start putting that energy into something a little bit beyond that artistically, and it kind of evolves in that. So maybe it does start from that.
So i.e. Jay-Z. Jay-Z doesn't have to talk about anybody anymore. Yeah. I mean, he staked his claim already. He's here. There's nothing you can do to tarnish what he's done. So that's why we were able to get an album like 444.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like a lot of artists might start at, I'm gonna give you some of me, but now I have to prove why I'm better than this next individual. And even Kendrick said when he did the Control verse, he said that wasn't in malice.
Right.
That was just to let y'all know I'm nice. And if anybody wants a friendly rap competition, then I'm here for that, because I want that spot essentially. And even if you go through his bodies of work, his stuff, like, you can't say that all the stuff that he's dropped was aimed at anybody except for this past year, and then like a freestyle here and there in the Control verse. I mean, of course, he's taking a few jabs here and there, but it adds to what he is as an MC. Yeah, I think somebody that Christians himself as an MC is in them to go for whoever thinks that they're the best.
It's like, potentially, like what you said, Lone, applies. I keep going back to Jay-Z, but what you said about evolution, and Terry said, to Terry's point about 444, yes, he would sound like an idiot if he was talking like he was on Imaginary Player.
Yeah,
but Imaginary Player was 100%. We are this. I'm better than y'all.
Yeah, I think
I'm better than Mace is what he was saying.
Yeah. I think he was right.
Yeah. I think a lot of this also stems just from my growth as a individual and as a person. Like, I know the type of person that I was when I was that type of MC and I was out there doing that, and I know what type of person I am now. Yeah, and I look at the world two completely different types of ways.
Yeah, we are the new old heads, so we've kind of evolved past that.
True,
but it's still part of it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because we I don't look at music or the world like I did 20-something years ago. I just don't.
But is it exciting?
And that's where rapidy rappers came from, too.
Yeah. He's right, though. He's actually right.
Rapping about nothing.
Rapping. Yeah.
I'm nice, saying nothing.
Yeah.
Get to the metaphysical.
That's why a lot of them aren't
Metaphysical.
in a position to be able to stake that claim that they're the greatest. They're the greatest amongst their peers.
Yeah.
That they rock with.
Did you hear how many syllables it said right there, man?
Yeah.
You know there are people. I ain't gonna say people.
He rhymed about the pyramids.
Did you hear Rez's freestyle on what was he on? He was like, can I do a verse for you?
He was on the Breakfast Club.
Nah, it wasn't the Breakfast Club. It was like Jimmy Kimmel or something. I don't know. And he did
sharpened the mathematics.
It was it was a Gravediggers verse.
Yes.
But he was just like the metaphysicals of the. I'm just like, okay, this has got to be a 1997 verse.
Y'all was disrespectful too when we talk Wu-Tang. I'm glad you said Gravediggers. Was listening to it the other day.
Now the verse was dope, but it was also very, very like
they didn't want to hear that.
No.
Yeah, they don't want to hear that.
lyrical in the space time continuum.
Come on.
Next to
knowledge itself. That's that's RZA, but that's not for the Tonight Show.
He did it. It was,
or wherever he was at.
I mean, it was good.
He got invited, and they knew it. They know what he's capable of. So
he's like, "Can I do a verse for y'all?"
Yeah.
Should have been like, "Nah, we good."
Yeah. Everybody in the crowd was like,
"That's why I don't have a talk show." Amongst other reasons,
everybody in the crowd was like, "What is he talking about?"
Like, don't mess up my advertising money here with these whack ass phrases. I was not whack, but ill-timed and not for what we try to do now.
Yeah, but I will say, I mean, it's not the encompassing point of all of hip hop, but somebody or an artist is. I mean, the whole reason we're talking about this is because Gibbs has been poking at J. Cole.
Right. No, for sure.
True.
He has
You know
been.
what I'm saying?
He's been taking shots at him, low key. Yeah. So
It's kind of
not lyrically though. Just
not lyrically, just kind of like
poking the bear.
Yeah, let me see what this might do. But I mean, it makes for a good conversation as far as comparison, because to me, I don't know. It's kind of like apples to oranges when I compare them. It's like listening to two different genres of hip hop, in my personal opinion.
And I think that's kind of like when I break everything kind of down. The way that I look at this is I always try my best. Again, I talked about getting older and becoming more mature, right? I try my best. It's literally written on my board over there. You know, it's like artists are people. And I try my best not to compare art. Like I try my best, because when it comes down to it, Freddie Gibbs is making one particular style of hip hop art.
Right.
J. Cole is making another style of hip hop art. And sometimes that competition element that gets sprinkled in there, like it's a competition, I feel like kind of like puts this shadow over these two artists that are making their own individual arts, and this whole
really
new
good at it.
And this whole new narrative forms out of this competition when it doesn't even exist in the first place.
It inspires, like the Nas Jay-Z thing inspired Nas to be like, nah, I'm really that dude, and I'm about to show y'all. Because if you think about what his catalog was up to then, there was some hits and misses in there. And then when that happened, it ignited something in him. It's like, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
And he dropped Stillmatic. Stillmatic was fire. That was the best album that he had dropped.
Up to that, in a while.
You know what I'm saying? So,
that's true.
I mean, to me, it's not. It's almost a iron sharpens iron type of thing.
Sometimes,
like let me see what you can do if we go in there. And then you have other artists like a Lil Baby that says, I ain't into all that. I just want to do my thing. You know,
which is perfectly fine.
That's fine too.
Yeah,
I feel like sometimes, yes, that's true. But other times, like when we're sitting here comparing like Gibbs and Cole, I don't like Gibbs has proven that he's dropped his last like 9 projects are like front to back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like he doesn't really have to sharpen any more iron. Like it's already sharp. You know, in Cole,
unless he feels like there's another bucket that he wants to throw a ball into.
Maybe, but I think that's more of an internal thing than something that we do on the outside. You know what I mean? We're splitting hairs, but you know, I feel like it's a cool conversation.
No, it is for sure. It is for sure.
None of this is actual factual. We just have good conversation about this.
Enjoying ourselves.
Go to therapy before you get angry in the comments. I'm just saying. We're just having a conversation.
It ain't that serious.
A lot of therapy out here that needs to be at.
Do people want to fight people
go to
based off
therapy, man.
this conversation?
Good Lord, y'all go get some help, please. We want you to get it, please.